Welcome to the Happiness Alchemy Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Goody. Stay with me for expansion, activation, and awareness on your spiritual journey through life and business. 7 ways mindfulness helps us consciously manifest. So if you've been listening to my podcast, you may have noticed mindfulness is one of my favorite practices. And this tool has really added so much value to my life, just bit by bit. It's not even something that I kind of sat down and was like, okay, well, now this month I'm being mindful and this is exactly what I'm doing. And then I noticed a big transformation. It's something that upon reflection, kind of looking back over the last few years and looking back to how I feel now and how easy it is for me to kind of get in a good place with my mindset because of mindfulness, it's really miraculous how much transformation this has actually created. So all of this stuff really helps me to stay on track to consistently manifest what I want. So before I get into the my favorite 7 ways that mindfulness helps us to consistently, consciously manifest, I want to remind you to sign up for my 7-day mindfulness challenge. And it's going to be super simple tasks that we're doing that take only about 5 minutes, just getting into the practice of mindfulness so that you can start to reap some of the benefits of that in your life. So the link to that is in the show notes below. So again, remember to sign up and secure your spot for this 7-day mindfulness challenge. So again, check that out, show notes below. All right, so now getting into it. So I'm going to take a look at the things that mindfulness increases that helps us to consciously manifest, and then things that mindfulness decreases that helps us manifest. So I'm talking about 7 ways that mindfulness helps us to consciously manifest, but at the same time, I also have 7 other ways that it helps us to manifest by decreasing things. So mindfulness increases our gratitude, and with gratitude we become more attractive and magnetic to the things that bring us more to be grateful for. So while consciously manifesting and knowing what you want and moving towards it is really powerful, mindfulness also helps us to manifest the things we didn't know we wanted, just by allowing ourselves that energy of gratitude that naturally comes with mindfulness. Then we're just more attracted to more fun surprises and more things that come up. And at the same time that it's increasing gratitude, it's decreasing resistance. So as we're upping the percentage of our time that we're spending in the energy of gratitude, we're decreasing the resistance energy that keeps us feeling stuck. So that's number 1. The second of my favorite ways that mindfulness really increases your ability to consciously manifest is awareness. So as we become more aware of our habits and our thoughts and how they affect us, we are taking the first step to transformation. And that's really, really quite powerful. Some people don't even realize how powerful awareness actually is. And at the same time that our awareness is increasing, our bad habits start naturally decreasing. We begin to recognize what we are doing on autopilot that is not serving us, and we become inspired to shift into more supportive habits, as opposed to other times where you might want to shift out of a bad habit, out of guilt or out of shame. And that can be a really tricky spiral to get out of, because you feel guilt and shame for the habit, and then you feel guilt and shame for not changing, and then that guilt and shame prolongs the habit, and it can be really tricky to get out of there. So with mindfulness, it shifts things up, and it just brings up this awareness with that gratitude energy without judgment, so that you are able to shift these habits. And I'm not just talking about bad habits that might be bad for your health, like smoking or something like that, but I'm also talking about habitual ways of thinking. So maybe thoughts that are not supportive of yourself that you're habitually thinking, or just things that you're doing. Maybe you're skipping self-care or skipping yoga or movement that makes you feel good, and then that creates a guilt and shame spiral. So when you add mindfulness into your days, the awareness creates that inspiration to shift the habits. All right, so number 3 is focus. Mindfulness brings in focus. So when we practice focus, we expand our ability to focus on all kinds of things. We expand our ability to stay focused on what we want to bring into our lives. And of course, what you focus on expands. So this is a direct relationships that mindfulness has with conscious co-creation, conscious manifesting. So at the same time that we are practicing mindfulness and increasing our ability to focus, we're also decreasing the overwhelm in our life. So when we're focused on our desires, it's much easier to cut out the noise of the should-dos in honor of what is the highest priority priority. This cuts out a huge amount of overwhelm, because a lot of times we're thinking about and we're being overwhelmed by stuff that really doesn't matter. And whenever we get to it, sure, take action on that. But a lot of times our overwhelm comes from a to-do list. And we're focused on our priorities. Our to-do list doesn't seem so overwhelming. It just feels like a natural flow. So again, just to recap the first three that we talked about, mindfulness is increasing gratitude, decreasing resistance, increasing awareness, decreasing bad habits, increasing focus, decreasing overwhelm. So again, these are all ways that mindfulness is helping you to consciously co-create. I got 4 more of them because mindfulness is just that juicy. Mindfulness increases clarity. So the more we practice mindfulness, the more we can clearly understand the next best steps to take, and the more our lives and struggles make sense to our journey. So there's a lot less kind of this self-pitying, self-blaming energy. We just become a lot more clear. And at the same time, of course, as we are bringing in more clarity and increasing clarity, we're decreasing confusion. So as we focus on what is happening within and what is mirrored on the outside, we are less confused and more likely to lean into acceptance and trust that there is a larger plan. So it's a lot less of this frustration, this confusion energy when we're able to sit in that energy of clarity that we get as a benefit of mindfulness. Number 5, detachment. So when we are detached from a specific outcome, we give the divine this free range to deliver something even better than what we desire. Detachment is giant for consciously manifesting. It makes a huge, huge, huge difference. And it's a tricky one too, because detachment, you don't always notice it there. It's not like resistance or a belief that you have that you know is kind of making it tricky to manifest something. Whenever you're attached to something, it can be a little bit sneakier, so you're not necessarily noticed. So whenever you are practicing mindfulness and you're practicing detachment from your thoughts, that helps you to detach from specific outcomes as well. So at the same time that you are increasing your detachment, you are decreasing this tight control. And when we release this tight control, we're giving our desires space to flow to us in surprising ways in place of control. We're allowing surrender, and surrender creates this flow. And again, it's a lot what I just mentioned whenever I was talking about clarity and focus and all of those things. It just, we're more aligned to the things that we desire, and we're more focused on the things that we desire without all that noise around, without all this need to control around. So it flows beautifully, beautifully. Okay, on to number 6. Mindfulness increases self-appreciation. So when you practice kindness and compassion to yourself, which is a key component of mindfulness, you become more and more aware that you are worthy and deserving of your desires, which magnetizes them to you. That's one of the things I see that creates a big resistance with people and attracting what they want, is feeling like they're not worthy or they're not deserving of it. So self-appreciation, as you're practicing mindfulness, magnetizes all of that goodness to you, all of the things that you know that you deserve, that you know that you are worthy of, begins to show up. So at the same time that we are increasing self-appreciation, we are decreasing self-doubt. When you trust in the flow of life and are compassionate to yourself, your confidence is also expanding, and this decreases your self-doubt so that you are taking action for your higher good. Again, self-appreciation goes up, self-doubt goes down. And our final point, self-understanding. So when you're practicing mindfulness, you're paying attention to yourself without judgment. You also get to know yourself. You get to know what it feels like when something is right for you and when something isn't a good fit. And as you understand yourself deeper, you're also leaning into your own intuitive guidance, because it shows you the best path forward based upon what feels right to you. So you're increasing your self-understanding, which is huge, which also connects you to your intuition deeper. Now, as you're increasing your self-understanding, you're also decreasing listening to others above yourself. This is the thing I see a lot where, especially among the intuitive and psychic coaches and things like that, that you might put more weight on what they're saying than your own intuitive guidance. It's amazing to listen to the guidance of others, but always run it through your own filters. And when you're practicing mindfulness, you're less likely to go ahead with the ideas and plans of others that may not be highest and best for you. You disrupt this program and autopilot of your life, and you awaken to the concept that you are aware of the best path for you, and you are the highest authority for making choices in your life that fully support you. So again, increasing self-understanding, decreasing listening to others above yourself. Another quick reminder to join my 7-day mindfulness challenge. It's going to be fantastic and really get you into the energy of mindfulness. So again, just to recap, mindfulness increases gratitude, decreases resistance, increases awareness, decreases bad habits, increases focus, decreases overwhelm, increases clarity, decreases confusion, increases detachment, decreases tight control, increases self-appreciation, decreases self-doubt, increases self-understanding, and decreases listening to others above yourself. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I have inspired you to step more deeply into mindfulness or to begin to explore it for yourself, because it is such an amazing and powerful tool. Thanks so much for listening.